everyone, this is Jag. Well, in this video I'm going to cover top 5 watering mistakes that you can avoid. Now a lot of people make these mistakes too often, so I'm going to cover all of these mistakes in details so you can avoid making these mistakes. So without taking any more of your time, let's get started. Number 1, soil type. Now if you ask someone how much I should be watering my plants, especially your tomatoes, cucumbers or squash, you'll get a set answer. If you're using drip tube, water it for an hour or 2 hours. However, the correct answer depends on the type of soil you have, because clay soil retains moisture, but sandy soil provides really good drainage. So you will have a lot less watering to do if you have clay soil, but a lot more watering to do if you have sandy soil. Now loamy soil is kind of like in the middle. And also, if you ask somebody whether I should be planting on berms or something, people always tell you plant on berms. But it also depends on the type of soil you have. So if you have clay soil, it's a really good idea to plant on berms because clay soil retains moisture. So you want to have really good drainage in your clay soil so your plants don't get waterlogged. In loamy soil, you can plant on flat ground, and in sandy soil, it's actually recommended to plant in trenches. I would always recommend to plant in trenches in sandy soil because sandy soil is really good at draining water, and you want to be able to hold as much water as you can so your plants can soak up water before the water goes all underground. Number 2, overwatering and underwatering. Both overwatering and underwatering are the top mistakes in watering your plants. Now both will be very detrimental to your plants. If you provide too little water, obviously your plants will not good. However, if you overwater your plants, you can waterlog your plants and your plant will not do good either. So the best way to know how much to water your plant is to use a moisture meter. Water your plants and use a moisture meter like this one to check the moisture level at least 6 inches under your soil. Now this will tell you if the soil is still moist underneath. You at least need 60% moisture in your soil. If the moisture level drops below 50% or 60%, that's when you water again. However, if the water moisture is already 80%, you don't need to water. Now since watering depends on many factors which I'm covering in this video, your watering duration is going to be different than other gardeners because you will have different type of soil, then different zone or different weather pattern. So your watering will be specific to your garden, and you have to learn how to water your garden. And the best way to do it is to water your garden for a certain duration, then check your moisture level. If after 3 days you still have 70 to 80% moisture level, 6 inches under your ground, decrease your water duration. However, if you have below 50% moisture after 1 day, increase your water duration. Now it will take a little bit getting used to, and you'll get a hang of it real quick. Once you do it about 3 to 4 times, you'll know intuitively for how long to water your plants. I have clay soil and I'm in zone 9. So in spring, I water my vegetable garden for 2 hours using drip irrigation every 3 days. And in summer, I water my vegetable garden for 2 hours every other day. I water my fruit trees using micro sprinklers in spring for about 4 hours once a week. And in summer, I water my fruit trees using micro sprinklers for 5 hours twice a week. Mistake number 3, not paying attention to the weather. Now, when the weather is really hot, when it's over 40 degrees Celsius, which is 104 degrees Fahrenheit, you will be watering more frequently and you will be providing very deep watering to your plants as well. However, if the weather is cooler, you will be watering very less. So always pay attention to the weather and water accordingly. This video is sponsored by Solar Wi-Fi Timer by Lumery Tech. This automatic solar Wi-Fi watering timer has 4 zones that you can individually control. This way you can set the amount of water that is required for each zone. Since this watering timer is solar powered, you don't have to worry about running out of power on your batteries, and you don't have to worry about changing batteries either. Now currently I have this watering timer set up for 2 zones. Now you can set up to 4 zones individually, and you can also check the history of your entire watering schedule and the amount of water delivered as well. If you're interested in this Lumery solar powered watering timer, I'll leave a link to this product in the description of this video. Mistake number 4, top watering your plants or only watering the surface of your soil and not providing deep water to your plants. Now a lot of people use hoses to water their plants, and they will water from top down, which is not a correct way to water your plants, because watering from top will encourage disease and fungus. So in order to have healthy plants and discourage the growth of bacteria and fungus, only water from below and use drip irrigation to water your plants. Top watering also only waters about 2 inches of your topsoil, which is not beneficial to your plants because the roots of your plants go 6 inches and even up to 12 inches depending on the type of plants you're growing. So using drip tubes with built-in emitters or using blank tubes and putting emitters wherever you need them is the best way to water your garden from below. Now a lot of people, when they use drip irrigation, they only water for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now think about it. Most of these emitters, they only provide half a gallon of water, which is about 2 liters of water per hour. So if you water for 20 minutes, you're not even providing about quarter of a gallon, not even a liter of water to your plants. So if you're using drip irrigation, you have to water for hours. Water for about 2 to 3 hours so that there's enough time for the water to penetrate deep into the soil and the water goes down to about 8 to 12 inches and the roots will chase that water and the stronger roots will make healthy and bigger plants. I plant my vegetable plants right next to an emitter. So in 2 hours, each vegetable plant gets about 1 gallon of water, which is 4 liters of water. For young trees, loop the drip tube around the young tree so that there are at least 8 emitters per tree. So in 2 hours, your tree can get 8 gallons of water, which is about 30 liters of water. For mature trees, use micro sprinklers. A mature tree needs about 40 gallons of water per week in summer. So these micro sprinklers produce about 4 gallons an hour. So if you water for 5 hours once a week in spring, your trees will get about 20 gallons of water, which is about 75 liters of water. And in summer, if you water twice a week for 5 hours, your trees will get 40 gallons a week, which is about 150 liters per week. Mistake number 5, not watering according to the type of plants you're growing. Now you have to know the needs of each one of your plants. Now certain plants take a lot of water while others take less water. Certain plants take a lot frequent water while others take less. For example, tomatoes. Now if you provide a lot of water and more frequent water to your tomato plants, the tomato plants will become bigger and bushier. However, they will not produce any tomatoes and you can even experience flower drop on your tomato plants as well. That's because tomato plants think everything is good and dandy. They don't need to produce flower and fruit, which contains the seed for the next generation because there's still time. They have all the resources and all the needs are met. So in order to trick and induce your tomato plants to produce tomatoes, you have to stress your tomato plants. Cut watering and make your tomato plants think that they're running out of resources, that there's not enough water available, and they'll start to flower and they'll try to keep their flowers to produce fruit to make the seed because they might think it's the end of the season, and that's when they start to produce a lot of tomatoes. Now another mistake gardeners make with the tomatoes is that when the tomatoes are producing a lot of fruit, which is tomatoes, they'll provide a lot of water to their tomato plants thinking that will result in a lot of big tomatoes. However, that can even make the tomatoes to crack and split open because of overwatering. So always provide infrequent and deep watering to your tomato plants. However, that's not the case with cucumbers because cucumbers like to have frequent watering, especially every single morning. Now if you provide infrequent watering to your cucumber plants, the cucumbers will turn out bitter. That's the main reason why cucumbers turn bitter. So if you provide frequent watering to your cucumber plants on a set schedule, your cucumbers will never turn out bitter. Now certain plants like a lot of water like cucumbers, watermelons and cantaloupes. However, other type of plants such as lavender and rosemary, they actually thrive on less water. So you have to know the type of plants you're growing and the watering needs of those plants to optimally water your plants. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you can avoid all of these watering mistakes, and I hope you learned different aspects of watering as well, and I'll see you in another video.